All right. Let's start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. All right. The name of this one is Blessed is He whose sin is covered. The inspiration for this lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak Kodash came from a message I just received from the brother, up and coming young elder out in the New York camp, Amawan Gabar. And pretty much he sent me this screenshot of a comment that a brother made, which I'm going to read in this lesson. I'm not sure what video it was on, but I have a screenshot from my phone. I'm going to read it from. You won't be able to see it. But before we get started, I just want to make mention that this is our Elder Sakaran's page, GMS, words drop like honey, with a space between drop and like. And I put this in the description box. You know, your brothers go over there, support the brother, subscribe to his page. I'm sure brothers know about it, but, you know, in case brothers don't know, help the elder get his subscriptions up, subscribers, should I say. But anyways, moving on from there, I have this screenshot of a comment. If you link the video, that's cool, brother. I'm Amawan Gabar. If you could link the video to this, that'll be cool. Then I could just actually put it up on the, so brothers could actually see it. So let's give him a few minutes so he could post that up. And pretty much, I was trying to find a lesson to go into through the Spirit. And I didn't really have anything. I was just going to go into some basic news and things that are going on as far as prophecy is concerned, as y'all could see. And the brother sent me this. And when I read it, it hit home. It was like, it was beautiful. The way it was put together, it was like almost like poetry in motion. And I said, you know what, let me just do something on it. I didn't know if there was going to be a whole lesson based around the comment or it'll jump around. I was going to name it various topics, but I said, you know what, let me just call it what the scriptures say. Blessed is he whose sin is covered. And when we read the comment, you'll understand what the reason why it's named that. So while we're waiting, let's go real quick to Psalms 32:1, a psalm of David. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. And how are these sins being covered? Because the way that they were covered in the past were by what? By these different sacrifices and the shedding of blood of certain particular animals that actually gave Israel back then, because that was the agreement that the Lord made with us, that would be the way for us to be forgiven if we transgress any of his sins. To according to the gravity of the sin, we would take a particular animal or bird or whatever the case was that was clean, of course, and sacrifice it to the Lord, and the blood of that animal would, the Lord would see that blood and he would forgive us of our iniquities. But that was run amok. It was run to the ground. So eventually what happened was the Most High sent his son, Yahushai, on the earth to shed his blood for our iniquities. And that's why now we have that blood. And remember, I'm going to read that one too, brother. Hold on one second. Dang. Oh, let me get this one real quick, then I'm going to read the one that the brother Pashai just put up. St. John 1, I believe it's the 29th verse. St. John 1:29. The next day, John seeth Yahushai. Who was this? John who? Oh, the one that fell out the truth? Come on, man. The next day, John, who was John the Baptist, seeth Yahushai coming unto him, and saith, Behold, the Lamb of the Most High, which taketh away the sin of the world. Right? Now I'm going to go to the one that The brother Pashai just posted. And then from here, we're going to jump to the next one. But let's go back. Hebrews 9:22, and almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission. And this is why Yahushua had to come on the scene, to be able to take on this this task, so to speak, and be able to cover this tab. All right, so Revelation 5:5, it says, and one of the elders saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the seven seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb, as it had been slain. See? And why was it slain? Because it was the blood of this lamb was shed for the remission of the sins of the nation of Israel, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of the Most High sent forth into all the earth. Okay, so, hey, I'm Amuan Gabark. Is it possible for you to, you know what? I'll just pull it up. Oh, okay, that's what it's from. Okay. Okay, said the chat keeps deleting the link. I might have to add you on there, bro, because it's probably won't allow. Okay, let's see. It probably won't allow. Whoa. Onto this was Elder Yashawamba, I believe. What am I doing? Just bear with me 1 second. I believe I was watching that earlier. That was an Elder Yashawamba had did.
And the Lord go take care.
Yep, this got to be a. Yep, this is it. So let's bring this to the front. Now let's see if I could find. Yeah, when I get a chance, bro, I'm gonna add you to the moderators on the comment board, and then maybe you'll be able to post it that way. Let's see if we can find this. Bear with me 1 second. Let me see. How shall I start? Okay. Here we go. This is from the, I was about to say from the book of, but this is Elder Yashawamba's video, Woe unto you, false prophets and shepherds. I don't know if I'll be able to paste this on the live chat. Let's see if it'll let me. It said it went through. So yeah, Lord's will, I'm gonna have to add you in there, bro. Okay, so it says this is the brother GMS Spiritual Temple 2. And I thought it was the other brother. Let's see. Now that's who it was. I thought it was the brother GMS, the dyed garments from Basra. But it was the actual response from GMS Spiritual Temple 2 to him. And this is what it says, Karnak, yeah. Because he said, it's looking like General Yohana ain't going to be able to have his Westchester Arena Passover now through. And he put Acts 5:20-24. So the brother GMS Spiritual Temple said, dyed garments from Basra. Khan Akia, it might be that the Lord only allowed Great Millstone and followers of Great Millstone to hold the Passover this year. Every other camp haven't really had theirs yet. And then arenas and convention centers shut down. They missed out on putting that blood on their doorposts. Lord willing, we about to get taken out of Egypt. So pretty much, when I read that, I said that's kind of heavy. Now, it's not saying that they won't be able to hold the Passover. We don't know if they're going to be able to do it. You know, this is just an observation that the brother was making. And I thought that was heavy because that is the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but this was the requirement excuse me, in Egypt, before we actually were able to get out of there, before the Lord brought the death angel through, everyone had to put that lamb's blood on the on the doorpost. And if they didn't, guess what? They would have got put to death. But all of Israel put that on their doorpost. And the reason why is because Yahushai was representative of that, or was going to be representative of that in the future. And this is why after, or just before he was put on the cross, he made this statement to his disciples. He said, Matthew 26, and 26. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. So this was the bread, right? And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. So today, when we keep the Passover, spiritually, Yahushua's blood is what's covering us. But so far, these other camps haven't been able to hold their Passover. Not to say that they won't be able to, but if they put everything on lockdown, they're going to have to go back to the ancient way of doing it, which is keeping it in each person's house, each person's home, if they're even able to get the stuff to do it. You see? And this is why the name of the lesson is, blessed is he whose sin is covered. All right? Let's go from there. Let's go to Psalms 32:1. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom the Lord imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit is no guile. And this is done by what? By the blood of Yahushua, as we read here. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Now, when we go back into the Old Testament, Zechariah 9 and 11, it says, as for thee also, by the blood of thy covenant, I have sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit, wherein is no water. Why? Because at one time, there was no way for us to be cleaned up until Yahushua came on the scene. Because remember, the Lord said he wasn't dealing with any more of those animal sacrifices. You could read about that in the Old Testament, where he was fed up to the point where he wasn't dealing with those sacrifices anymore. So now the new sacrifice would have to be his son Yahushua coming down, who was prophesied before he came, before even the world was made, to actually do this. So he was the one who shed his blood for the covenant to release the prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Now that the prisoners have been released from the pit because they received the water, now they're clean. Psalms 119:9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. And this word is also comprised of the blood of Yahushua. Let's go to St. John 15:3. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. So Yahushua cleansed them by that word. And then eventually when he shed his blood, that forgave them of their sins. Period. All right. So this is where we're at right now. So if these, let's just say for instance, if these other camps don't get to hold their Passover, that could be a sign where the Lord is not dealing with them. Not saying that you don't have elect men among them, and the Lord is going to sever the elect from among them, but this is kind of heavy how the Lord allowed us to keep our Passover, and right after the Passover, not too long after the Passover, all this other stuff started going on with the coronavirus and all that stuff. And a lot of these different shutdowns and hell breaking loose. This is heavy, man. This is heavy. And even if this was to slow down and go back, so-called back to normal, it really can't go back to normal. You go to the supermarkets now, what's happening? Everything is rationed now. If you go to the supermarket, you're only able to buy two in this area, or in Connecticut. I'm not sure if in New York it's like that. You can only buy two. Like if you're buying chicken, right? Let's say you want to buy 2 packs of drumsticks, and let's say you want to buy a pack of ground chicken and a pack of chicken breast. You can't, because it's limited to 2 items, 2 chicken items, 2 beef items, 2 lamb items. You know, it's not like before you could just grab a whole bunch of stuff and go pay for it. Everything is being rationed. And now what they're saying is that that they're pretty much stalling until they get the National Guard in place all throughout the United States. And then they're really going to start the clampdown. You know, that's really because, you know, they'll be able to have the National Guard in place in case shit get crazy and rioters and looters. Right now, they got in the different restaurants, they had in the supermarkets, they had security guards there in case shit was to break out. But now they're mobilizing the military, the National Guard throughout the whole of the United States. You see, and they've been training for urban warfare. You think that was a coincidence? You think that they're just doing it just in case? No, they did that for a reason, for a purpose. So they're saying once the National Guard is in place, then, you know, they can really start the clamp down, the lockdown, because they have the manpower in place to be able to control any riots or looters or whatever the case may be. You know, so this could be it. You know, and it's heavy that if these other camps are not able to hold the Passover together like they normally do, hey, that's on them. You know, that's on them. So now let's go from there. Let's go to Exodus 12:5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And what was that for? That was a seal. So when the angel of death, which was Yahushua, came through, he would see that blood and they said, this house is covered, this house is covered, that house is covered, this house is covered, that house is covered, this house is covered, that house is covered. Oh, there's no blood over there. Let's get him. And that's how it went down. Because at this time, although Yahushua died for the nation of Israel, in this time, the blood of Yahushua is only going to cover the elect. All right. Now jumping down to the 13th verse. And the blood shall be to you for a token, meaning for a sign upon the houses where you are. So today, what do the houses represent? The houses represent our bodies. You see? It says, and when I see the blood, so when the angels come and start getting busy, and they see the blood on the different individuals, the ones that are covered, it says, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you, because back then it was Yahushua. Today it's going to be the angels of the Lord that's going to come through and jack people up. But eventually at the end, Yahushua is coming through. It says, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. Why? Because you're going to be covered. You're going to be sealed. And we're going to get a few precepts on that. And before I read on, you know what? Let me get a couple of precepts on that. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark, upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So this Jerusalem represents the people of the nation of Israel. In this case, the elect. So he told the angel to go through and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And when you look up this word mark, in the Hebrew, you have the Hebrew word tha and the wa, thawa. And the word thawa is desire, mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. And this is why the name of the lesson is blessed is he whose sin is covered. Why? Because you have that mark. You have that covering. You have that water, that blood of Yahushua upon your doorposts, which is the doorposts or are the doorposts of your mind. Because this that the angel was doing here was putting a seal or a mark upon the men that were to be spared from being destroyed. Let's read that again. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Why is that? Because the ones that get the mark of the Lord, the Thawah, will be protected. The rest will not. It says, matter of fact, before I read on, I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to move on to Revelation 7:1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, which is the destruction, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel, meaning that the destruction does not go into action before this particular event takes place. And what is that event? And I saw another angel descending from the east, having the seal of the living power, which is pretty much the same as the Thawah that we just read in the book of Ezekiel, the 9th chapter. And this seal is what? Let's go to it. Seal is sphrages, which means a seal. The seal placed upon books, a signet, ring, the inscription or impression made by a seal of the name of the Most High, Yahweh, and Hamashiach, Yahushai, stamped upon their foreheads as a seal or exemption from judgment. I'm just, Salaki, something that came to mind that I wanted to look up yesterday. It just came, something else. It just came back to mind. I just want to pull it up so I can look at it, Lord's will, after. It was something that I wanted to look up yesterday, and the one word kind of just brought it back to my mind. Okay. So let's read that again. Of the name of the Most High and Yahushai stamped upon their foreheads, which is what? That exemption from judgment, which is a seal. This person here has been sealed and protected from everything else that's coming upon the earth. It says that by which anything is confirmed, proved, authenticated, as by a seal, a token, or proof. You know, like with these devils, this has been stamped by the USDA. This is approved by the USDA and all that crap. Well, this when it's approved by the Most High, it's a golden seal, and that golden seal is bank, is money in the bank. So going back, let's read that again. It says, and I saw another angel descending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power. Where? In their foreheads. So just like Esau has a physical seal, the Most High has a physical seal. The Most High has a spiritual mark. Esau has a physical mark. So you're going to serve somebody. Like Bob Dylan said, you're either going to serve the Lord or you're going to serve the devil. You're either going to serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai or you're going to serve Esau. And if you're going to serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, there has to be a seal put upon you as a mark of your allegiance, of you, of us being the subjects or the slaves or servants of the Lord. Just like if you serve Esau, you have to have a physical seal in your mind or your forehead and your hand as being the servants of Esau, which you would be the servants of the spiritual demon Satan. You see? It says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So moving right along, we got the seal of the Lord, the mark of the Lord, the exemption from judgment, right? Now you have Israelites out there that know about the truth, that know that they're Israelites, but they're not taking heed. And this situation with these other camps, if they're not able to keep this, that can be a symbolic gesture from the Lord that the Lord is not with that group. But we believe that there are men of the Lord and women of the Lord among them that are part of the elect. See, they won't say that about us. But we are here to tell the truth. So we're going to tell the truth regardless of what they do. We're not going to go tick for tat. We're not going to render evil for evil. We're not just going to say something about them just because they said it about us. You see? Because that's the spirit that the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai has upon us to tell the truth. You know? So, let's go from there to Isaiah 30:1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai. Why are they rebellious? Because they are revolting against the Most High. They are not taking heed to the message that's being spoken out there. Because this message that's being spoken is the message of salvation. That's why the Lord, through the mouth of Paul, said, it pleased the Most High by the foolishness of preaching to save them which believe. While the rest of the world mocked and ridiculed and scoffed and talked shit. Now it's getting hot. Now is the point where you put the seasoned meat inside of the oven to cook it and bake it. And the whole time they were scoffing and laughing and playing games. Like the children in the marketplace that went and piped to them and sang to them and all that, but they wasn't dancing. They didn't get down. They couldn't learn the lyrics of the song. They couldn't learn the footwork. They couldn't learn the dance steps and the dance moves and the dips and the splits and the flips. You know? They were playing around, man. They weren't taking the rehearsal serious. So when the actual action of the movie, so to speak, happens and comes to pass, they're not going to be ready. Because they've been jiving the whole time. You see? That's why it says in Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter, about, that we're like a lovely song unto them. It says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, that take counsel, but not of me. Because their counsel that they take is what? By the commandments of men. They're ignorant of the Lord's commandments. And this Lord said is willingly because we're showing it to them, but they're rejecting it. And that cover, see, with a covering, but not of my spirit, see, is not of the spirit of the Lord. It's not of this word. It's not of his choosing, that they may add sin to sin, because they'll say, well, the law's done away with. Continually doing all type of madness. That's why down in, I don't know where it is. I don't know if that's somewhere in Africa or in Jamaica or someplace. Sound like some place in Jamaica or one of the Caribbean, West Indian islands, where you had this woman out there. She was bitching and complaining because they don't have any food. They haven't eaten in days. And she was a pretty big woman, and you could tell she doesn't miss many meals. So she was like bitching and moaning and complaining about how they wasn't receiving any help. And she was like, look, man, if it's about, you want to test us, bring it, the coronavirus, you give us a test. But she was saying to give them help, give them food. The Pekingese not eating, so nobody was eating out there. They were catching hell. But the thing about it is when the word of the Lord was readily accessible and being taught to them, they were scoffing at it. They were ridiculing it. They were mocking it. Yeah, man, you crazy. Just all kind of just foolishness. But now, when they're feeling the crunch, no, Jesus, please help, they're looking for answers. They're looking for help. You ain't going to get the help. The only ones that's going to get the help are the elect of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. It says that they may add sin to sin, because they covered with the covering, but not of the spirit of the Most High, not of this truth. Let's go to the word cover. It should be cover and covering. It's two different words. Okay, so let's look up first cover. Nasak to pour out, pour, offer, cast, to pour out, to cast metal images, to anoint. And the pouring out is their offerings. Their offerings have not been to the Lord. The covering that they've had on is not to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, to be anointed, to pour out libations. See? So they're pouring out libations to another deity, another god, that wood and stone that they worship here. So they cover or pour a drink offering to the covering is masakah, a pouring, libation, molten image, cast image, drink offering. Like you see them obia and santeria and all them different voodoo, rituals where they're drinking rum and spitting it out, pouring drink offerings to these different deities, different gods. That's what they're doing. But they're not doing it in the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. They're doing it to these other gods. And what are they doing? Adding sin to sin. So if you add sin to sin, you're not going to be forgiven for one. So how about how much more when you compound it? That's why the Lord said, blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Because not everyone's sin is covered. That walk to go down into Egypt, modern day Egypt today is what? America. And have not asked at my mouth, because they have the prophets out there speaking, teaching. But they don't want to hear that. They want to hear the smooth things. To strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh. And that's what they're doing. They're strengthening themselves in the modern day Pharaoh who? The presidents. That's the modern day Pharaoh today. And what message are the presidents pushing out? The presidents of the messages of the international bankers. All right. It says to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Now, when you have a shadow is supposed to do what? It's supposed to protect you, give you relief. So they trusted in America for their relief. They didn't trust in the Lord for their relief. All right. It says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame. So now that you trusted in this society, turn to the gods that you were praying to. Where your sweet Jesus at? Because the Lord's name is not Jesus, it's Yahushai in the Hebrew. So where is all of this laud and praise that you were given to them deities? Why don't you pray to them? Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame. And it's going to be a shame to you. A lot of you Israelites out there, especially those of you, that know that you're Israelites, you're going to be ashamed for all the mocking and the ridiculing and the scoffing that you've done. Because some of you secretly go behind the scenes and make avatars and YouTube pages and come on the comment boards mocking the men of the Lord. And you're going to be dealt with. And the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion. Let's read that again. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion. Because you're going to be in a very confused state soon. And the word for confusion in this case is kalamah. Disgrace, reproach, shame, confusion, dishonor, insult, ignominy. So you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be totally confused, totally ashamed. You're going to have no answers. You're going to have no way to recover out of your situation. That's what the name of the lesson is. Blessed is he whose sin is covered. I'm going to jump to the 5th verse. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, because Esau can't profit you. You have a lot of you Israelites that love this so-called white man. You love these Edomites. And you'll die for them. And you'll protect them. And that's what the Lord said. You're going to be ashamed. And that they cannot profit you. Because they're just using you. And when they don't need you, they discard you. And you're too ignorant to see that in history. Anytime Esau needed something, he used Jake. And when he didn't need Jake anymore, he discarded him. from the so-called North American Indians to the so-called Negroes to the so-called Latinos, so on and so forth. It says, nor be in help nor profit, but a shame and also a reproach, because they have an agenda. You're not included in their agenda. I was just watching 1984, a little bit of it at the beginning, and I was looking, because I've seen it before, but you forget about stuff, and I was like, yo, I didn't see no Jakes in there. They may be, I don't remember, I don't recall, but I was looking and there was no Jakes in the movie. Not a one. Now, if there is, I forgot about it, but I don't remember, I don't recall. And the 15, 20 minutes I watched, I didn't see any. And that movie is very good for these times because it shows you how the news is manipulated, and they'll make you believe that it's a benefit to you that they're doing, but they're really taking away from you, but making you feel like they're doing good for you. Like there was a article that the Choco rations were 30%. So they wanted to cut it down. So instead of saying the Choco ration, the chocolate rations were cut down by 5 milligrams or whatever it was, they said that instead of 30 grams, the Choco rations were 20 grams. And it said rations. It said it was 20 grams. And they were upping it up to 25 grams to make it feel, oh, wow, good, beautiful. But really, they were robbing you of 5 grams because it was 30 grams. But these are the subtle things that Esau does to fuck with the minds of these people because they can. And right now, America went from, you can go to the store. If you wanted to buy the whole meat section or the whole water section, you could do it. Now you're in ration mode. Just until the point where they get the military up in there. It's going to be hard times, man. Another lesson came to mind, Lord's will, I'm going to do it. But it's a little more detailed, so I would have to go into, doing some research on the history and stuff, and Lord's will, I'll do it. But this is nothing more than history repeating itself. Throughout all the different empires, this moment that we're about to enter into happened at one point or another. It's just that this time it's going to be far worse than it ever was. Okay, so now let's go from there to Isaiah 31. It says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. And this is what you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians out there, which are the Israelites. This is what you're doing. You're going down to Egypt. Egypt, modern day Egypt is America. And you're going to them for what? For help. And they're not helping you. They are the devil that the Bible speaks of. The video that Elder Pastor just did, he was going into that when he was breaking down Revelation, the 12th chapter. And it's all a smoke and mirror thing. Esau always has an ulterior motive. That's why the scriptures say, never trust thine enemy. You watch that motherfucker like you was watching a mirror. You got to keep a close eye on the devil because he's very slick. It says, and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many. See, and Jake believes in America because of the strong military, the so-called everlasting food supplies. It says, and in horsemen because they are very strong, dealing with the military. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because you're not looking to the Most High. When you say God and Jesus, you're thinking about the white man. You're thinking about Esau. You see? That's what you're talking about. You ain't talking about the Most High Yahweh and his son Yahushai, because in your mind, you're picturing the so-called white man. And when you look at Esau, you're looking at, in your mind, you're looking at God and his son. It says, yet he also is wise. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words. but will arise against the house of evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. It says, now the Egyptians are men and not the Most High, see? But you're looking at these devils like they are God, like they are the Messiah, like they are the angels, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down. So the ones that help this devil are going to fall, and the ones that are helped by this devil will fall. It says, and they all shall fall together, because the Lord ain't playing no more, man. That's why you're being numbered to the sword. Matter of fact, let's go now to Ezekiel 9. Let's read 4 again. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. That's the elect. And to the others he said in mine hearing, but the ones that are not a part of the elect of the nation of Israel, because it said go through Jerusalem. It's not talking about the land, because the land does not have a mind. And it says foreheads, plural. Put this mark, this exemption from judgment, upon the foreheads of the men. It says, and to the others, he said in mine hearing, because the Lord wants to hear when Jake starts screaming and howling and crying. Go ye after him through the city, and what? Smite. The word smite means to kill. And in case you didn't get it, let not your eyes spare. It doesn't matter if it's women, young women, children, old men, old women. Neither have ye pity, no matter if it's a fine-ass chick, whatever. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark. So the Lord is specific. So there's a set amount of Israelite men and women that will be delivered. And there's a set amount of Israelite men and women that will be put to death. And that's the reality. And we've been telling you this for I don't know how long. And a lot of these Israelites out here think that this truth is just a YouTube thing. Look, we were teaching the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai way before the YouTube era. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So the YouTube era just took the truth to another level. But the word was the same thing we're saying now was the same thing we were saying back then. About the martial law, about the FEMA camps, about the microchip. It's the same song being sung over and over and over again. It's a timeless classic. That type of song that no matter how many times you hear it, you just can't get tired of it because it's a timeless classic. Every time it comes on, you got to hum the words with it. You dance, you shake your head, you get into it. It puts you in a certain frame of mind. Well, that's what this truth is like. And we've been out there saying it, speaking it for the longest. It says, and begin at my sanctuary, because it's going to begin with those that know that they're Israelites. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. And this is, it's scary. But you know what? This is a part of declaring all of the judgment of the Lord and not shunning to tell everything. Because everything has to be laid out. That the scriptures say that he may run that readeth it. And we have to speak about the bitter as well as the sweet. There's certain things you don't want to touch on or speak about because you're hoping that don't apply to me. But nevertheless, we still have to speak about it because this is a part of the doctrine. This is a part of the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So now let's go from there to Revelation 13:16. So now you have the Israelites that are part of the elect that have a mark of the Lord, the exemption from judgment. They'll be sealed, as we read in Revelation 7. Then you have those that have the mark of Esau, which is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. And he calls it meaning who? This beast, which America is the 8th beast of all seven, the 7 heads and 10 horns. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And what is this mark? The word charagma, which is that microchip, something implanted into the hand or the forehead. And this is the mark of Esau, the mark of Satan. So you either have the mark of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, or you have the mark of Esau, that dragon, that old dragon, which is the devil and Satan. So let's go from there to the book of Isaiah 65 and 11. But ye are they that forsake the Lord. So you Israelites out there that don't take heed, that don't get prepared, that are not admonished, that are not corrected, that do not change your life, that do not change your mind, that do not put off that old man, old woman, and continue on in that quest that you've been going down. This applies to you. You are they that forsake the Lord, that forget my holy mountain. It says that prepare a table for that troop. Who is the troop? Esau. And how do you prepare the table for that troop? Because you're helping adorn his table with all that vomit that's up there. Here it is, you have a big table full of vomit, but to you it looks like flowers and lilies and beautiful dishes and, you know, and sweet wine and sweet ointments and different fragrances coming off of it. But it's nothing but abominations, and you're helping to adorn it. You're helping put the cups there, you know, the dirty ass cups with some used napkins and used utensils on there. You know, the grapes you're putting up there are all withered and nasty. You know, but you're helping adorn that, prepare that table, which represents what? You're helping push you boule. You know, you are Jakes that's into politics and all that, that's helping push this man's agenda. This applies to you. You Israelites that know that you're Israelites, that are pushing the agenda of Esau. This applies to you. You're preparing the table for that troop, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number, because your libation that you're pouring, as we read earlier about the libation, that drink offering, your libation and your drink offerings are to the beast, to Esau. It's not to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It says, therefore, so the Lord said, because you did that, therefore I, the Most High, will number you to the sword, because there is a set number that are destined to be destroyed. And those are the ones that do not have that thawah, that have the mark of the beast. You either got the mark of the Most High or you got the mark of the beast. You either serve Yahweh Bashem Yahushai or you serve Satan. It says, therefore will I number you to the sword, and you shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because if you escape the famine, the sword might get you. And if you escape the sword, something else will get you. And if you escape all of that and you just think you the shit, and you made it through all those hurdles and all those potholes and obstacles and all that, pitfalls, guess what? The missiles gonna hit your ass, or the lasers from the chariots. And this is why, because when I called, you did not answer. Nobody, you know, when you're in school and the teacher calls your name, you're supposed to say present. Well, when the Lord called you, you didn't say you were present. You were playing hooky, man. You were skipping class. You were skipping school. It says, when I spake, and the Lord, how is the Lord speaking? By the prophets. He said, I hewed them by the words of my prophets, or the prophets. You did not hear, because you ain't listening. But did evil before mine eyes. You went back, well, look, F the Most High, I'm going to eat pork. Shit, if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Like that Boosie, whatever the hell his name is. That's the attitude of Jake. They may not verbally say it, but their actions. Never heard the saying, actions speaks louder than words? Well, their actions show that they're giving the Most High the finger. But they think that you ain't damaging the Most High. You ain't causing the Most High any he ain't losing no sleep, so to speak. Not that the Lord sleeps, but he ain't losing no sleep, so to speak. But he sees that you become a smoke in his nose, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Like that woman was howling. So look, you want to test us? Basically she was just saying, look, come and test us. We don't have the coronavirus. It would have wiped us out. Just come and test us, but come help us. Give us some food. We hungry. And that's just a small case scenario of what's going to happen, man. This is a worldwide thing. Oh, you guys are fear-mongering. Well, you know what? If fear-mongering gets you to get in gear to serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, then so be it. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. This is one of my favorite, most favorite scriptures ever. When the Spirit had me read this, this is like my top favorite, one of my top favorite scriptures. 2 Corinthians 7:8. For though I made you sorry with a letter, right? For though I made you sorry with a letter, because the Apostle Paul was rebuking them, and some of them sorrowed and felt bad and possibly even cried. It said, I do not repent. Why? Because I know I made you sorry, it made you feel uncomfortable, made you nervous, but guess what? It was for your benefit. Though I did repent, for I perceive that the same epistle that have made you sorry, though it were but for a season. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make you feel bad, but I have to, because you're going down the wrong path, and the only way to get the point across was to come down hard on you, in the hopes that you will recover yourself from that situation that you were in, and that mind frame. It says, now I rejoice, not that you were made sorry, but that you sorrowed to repentance. And that's what it's about. You sorrow to repentance. Not that you sorrow to destruction. You were so messed up in the spirit that you just fell away from the truth. No, you sorrowed. You felt bad. You had that fear, but it was to repentance. Oh, man, fuck. I ain't gonna do that shit no more. I feel like shit, man. God damn it, It says, for you were made sorry after a godly manner, because the fear was about what? The fear of the Lord. It wasn't to fear us, that you might receive damage by us in nothing. Why? Because we didn't hold back the message that needed to be brought out there, so that you can have the whole picture and you can get into it, get involved. For godly sorrow, listen good, for godly sorrow worketh repentance to salvation. So that godly sorrow worked repentance to salvation. You felt uncomfortable for that moment, for that time period. But guess what? It changed you from that point on, because you started to be more careful. You started to be more vigilant. You started to be more in the spirit. It says not to be repented of, but the sorrow of the world worketh death. So it's not to be repented of, because you sorrowed not for the moment, you sorrow for the moment, and it changed you because you're not doing that anymore. Because if you sorrow after the world's sorrow, that leads to death. For behold, this selfsame thing that you sorrowed after godly sort, what carefulness it wrought in you. Now you're walking more on eggshells, as to before you were walking careless. Not that you're supposed to be over righteous, but I speak for myself. I'd rather err on the side of righteousness than on the side of wickedness. And I know I'm not perfect. And I know that we can't be delivered, but if I'm going to err on anything, I'd rather err on the side of righteousness. You know? I mean, it makes sense to me. It says, yea, what clearing of yourselves? Yea, what indignation? Yea, what fear? Oh, you guys are fear-mongering. Well, it was for your good. It was for your benefit. It says, yea, what vehement desire? Vehement desire for what? To do the right thing to the best of your ability. Not to to be over righteous, of course not. You know? It says, yea, what zeal? Yea, what revenge? In all things you have approved yourself to be clear in this matter. Because, I curse you out. Or we said certain things to put you in fear. But it was to fear Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, not man. Because these things were coming. Now they're here. And now you have a better mindset. Because you were told. Over and 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 over again. But now you understand why. See, now we understand why the Most High is so repetitive. Because do you want to hear, like the brother put 2 Corinthians 5:11, knowing therefore the terror of the Lord, we persuade men, but we are made manifest unto the Most High, and trust also that are manifest in your consciences. So do you want the Most High to come speak to you, or would you rather men come speak to you? If you haven't read, the Old Testament, or haven't read the part where Israel wanted the Most High to speak to them, I suggest you go and read that. Because that's the sentiment that Jake had back then. And when the Most High started, to speak, Jake took off, scared. Nah, we don't want to speak to the Most High no more. And from that point on, what happened? The Most High put a mediator between himself and us. That's why you had Moses. That's why you had the high priest, Aaron, and the rest of the high priests. That's why eventually down the road, what happened? His son Yahweh had to come and be the mediator. And he is the mediator, the ultimate mediator. All right. So now let's see what else we got. So we read that. So Zechariah 13:8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. So the 2 parts, or 2/3, is what? The number that the Most High set that was going to be, he was going to give for a number. Isaiah 65:12. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and you shall all bow down to the slaughter. So the Lord numbered Jake. He numbered the ones that are part of the elect, and he numbered the ones that are to be destroyed. All right. It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai is my power. Because brothers that's in this thing, you sisters that's doing the right thing, we don't have anything to worry about. All we got to do is do the best that we can. Now, there will be martyrs. We know that. There will be men, women, mainly the men, that will glorify the Lord with their death, But overall, the elect are going to be straight. Because this is the time when the Lord said, then shall be known who are my chosen. See, the prophets lost every time they came on the earth. But they really won. But it seemed like they lost. That's why they always got persecuted, ridiculed, put to death, stoned, all of that. But this is the time now where they will be delivered. And they will have the first resurrection in the kingdom. Which all the people that ridiculed them and killed them and all that, they're not going to have that privilege. That's a privilege to have the first resurrection, the first dominion in the kingdom. And that pretty much is it. The name of this lesson is blessed is he whose sin is covered. You have the elect that have the mark of the Most High, that Thawah, the seal of the Most High, that will protect them and deliver them from the said perils and evils. And you have the 2/3 that have the seal of Satan, pretty much, that have the mark, which is the charagma, that will take the actual mark, which is the microchip, which is an actual physical mark. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. And to the next time I say, Shalom. Over and 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 over again. Now you understand why. See, now we understand why the Most High is so repetitive. Because